Joins us this morning, although it won't be Minority Whip for long. Congressman, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I wonder what you think the next pivot point here is going to be. How much weight are you putting on the president's brief talk at 1 o'clock today?
Carl, we're going to have to see a president and a White House that's going to reassess. Clearly, last night, the voters spoke loudly and clearly and said, Washington, you're not listening to us. We don't like the direction you're headed. Please, please deliver some results now and try it another way. And hopefully the president and his team are going to see the country's tired of expanding government, incurring debt and spending money we don't have when there's no results. And I think that most people understand this country's built on the notion of a limited government, and they want to see government back off and start to empower the private sector again. I was listening to the interview you just had with Governor Corzine. The fact is small businesses and large right now are paralyzed. There's not a lot of hiring going on, and we have not addressed the fundamental problem of the utility of credit or the certainty that's needed in terms of tax rates or regulatory environment.
AP this morning writes that Washington, starting today, is a two-person, two-party town. And that is a relationship between the president and the incoming speaker. It's like this arranged marriage, and we're all watching it about to happen. If that's true, who needs to make the first move? Is it up to the president?
No question. The Republicans over the last 20 months have been proffering alternatives if we didn't agree with the administration's prescriptions. It started back with the stimulus bill. It involved their posit of an energy bill. We had an alternative. And then we continue to try and say, Mr. President, focus where the people are, and that's on delivering results in terms of job creation. And the administration went astray onto issues that, frankly, the public had no desire to see Washington involving itself in. So now's the time for this president's team to reassess. We are willing to work with this president to try and produce results, but let's do it in a way that is consistent with the principles of limiting government's reach, cutting spending, that we will create an environment for jobs.
Eric, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can we call you Majority Leader?
You can call me Eric.
Well, first off, congratulations. I think the fact that the House leadership took such a significant role, the House Republican leadership, in defining our purposes through your principles was very positive the entire election process. And I think you've outlined what we need to do, and just keep it going.
Well, I mean, we're not mistaking the message from the election last night. This was an American people that are tired of Washington not listening, and they said no to the agenda that's been pushed forward by the Democratic majority and the White House. This is by no means some type of approval of Republican leadership. We're going to have to go about earning that confidence every day, and we are set and ready to go about doing that.
Yeah. Eric, this is Evan Bayh. My impression of John Boehner is that he's a truly good person. You could see that in his emotion last night as he was speaking. The president called him last night. He called Mitch McConnell. I assume he'll follow up today in his statement and reach out. My question to you is, the last time we were in this situation, things didn't work so well at the beginning. We had a government shutdown and that kind of thing. Both parties are going to have to restrain their most fervent elements. What lessons did you learn from the '94 experience? And what do you anticipate coming from your most fervent elements you might have to moderate a little bit?
Well, Evan, of course, I was not here in '94, so I can't speak to personal experience. But in looking back, I think one thing that we can learn from that event is that a Republican-held House doesn't control the government. We're going to have to work to try and insist that the agencies back off in terms of their anti-business, anti-growth regulatory posture right now. That's what we're hearing from small businesses throughout the country, is that they're afraid to act because they don't know which way Washington's going next. So hopefully we can all take that message from the electorate last night and focus on what can actually empower small businesses and investors to get back in the game again.
But can you keep the far reaches of your party in line as well, as Senator Bayh asked?
Well, the far reaches of the party, and Becky, I'm not quite sure what the senator was driving at. The far reaches of the party, to me, are enveloped in this movement that says cut spending, limit government, and let's get back to a constitutionally limited government. That's what most Americans think.
I'll give you an example. I mean, both you and I are deeply concerned about the debt, the deficit. As you point out, we got to get spending under control. There may be some things coming from Judd and his group on Social Security reform, for example, that the extremes of both parties won't like. Do you think it's possible to get an agreement on that kind of thing and overcome those folks who will just not be for any kind of compromise? On both sides, the left and the right.
You know, I think there's a predicate that needs to be laid first. And one of the things, Senator, that we laid out in our Pledge to America is a commitment to incremental progress, deliberate focus on cutting the deficit. And we promised to bring cutting bills to the floor each week so that the public can see we're serious. On top of that, we said that we're going to move quickly to reduce the levels of discretionary spending to 08 levels. That's pre-stimulus levels. And certainly I think all of us can remember 08. The sun rose and set then, and I think we can accomplish that and show the people that we're about doing the same thing in Washington that every family has done across this country in small business, and that is to go on a diet to live within your means.
Just because you're majority leader doesn't mean you still can't guest host. You know that, right?
You know, stay tuned on that position. You know, right now we are still counting to see how many votes we're going to have. Obviously, a great night, Carl.
The guest host position, or what are we staying tuned on?
And Carl, I'm wondering, did you even go to sleep last night?
No, we didn't.
No.
Yeah, it was a long night, not just for all of us here in the media, but for you as well. Congressman, thanks for your time. We'll
Okay,
talk
good
to
to be with you.
soon, I'm sure. Eric Cantor joining us from D.C.